All right, this first question is something that I see a lot, actually. And it's not a question that you can just answer with one sentence. But I feel like people want an answer that's just like one sentence long, but it's actually quite deep. What made you finally get sober?
Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Till the Wheels Fall Off. I'm Matt.
I'm Paige.
We get a ton of questions in DMs and emails, and most of them are about Paige. I think Paige does an incredible job at showing up on social media. You can just go check out our TikTok page, and there are countless videos of you answering questions, providing clarity, and your ideas about things that you believe, concepts that a lot of people struggle with, and you're the best at it.
Thanks.
Which is why your face shows up all the time. I get a lot, but frankly, our audience is primarily partners and spouses, and so that happens to be a lot of women. But more and more, I see that my role can not just be the guy that tells you what things are like behind the scenes and like what was going through my mind and what I see from a lot of other people in addiction or people who are struggling to grow up like I was and what they're thinking.
To grow up.
And I think I'd really like to be able to reach more guys that were like me and that like messages that I needed to hear at a certain point. And so this episode is for everyone, but I think it can be especially relevant to your loved one if they're open to receiving it, to hearing what it was like and how you got out of it and what I did, and just a very open, frank, no bullshit, no frills conversation about how to repair a marriage.
Okay, I'm just going to ask you a bunch of questions. How about them apples?
There you go, Paige. Paige is going to ask me a lot of questions, but we're going to have a great conversation.
There's a bunch of different kind of questions. It's not just about that. Like it's just a lot of questions that we receive, and I think a lot of listeners might have these same questions, and it'll be interesting to hear your answers.
Yeah, a huge shout out before we get started to Soberlink. Soberlink's been a sponsor of our show now for quite some time, and they've been an incredible partner. Soberlink, if you don't know what Soberlink is, it is a portable breathalyzer device, but it is so much more than that. When I was trying to rebuild trust, it was really difficult. I don't even think Soberlink was around at the time, but had it have been something I might have looked into using, here's why. If I voluntarily get a device that's going to show you and alert you every time that I test sober, that's going to be a valuable tool so that you know that I'm doing what I said I was going to do, that I'm living the life I promised you that I would be living. Soberlink gives you that clarity. You can set up sober contacts. It can be a spouse or partner or other people in your circle that are supporting your sobriety. And it's a really great way to show people, hey, I'm doing the deal. Or if you're struggling, they know that too. It just provides transparency. And it's difficult to do, I think, in the beginning, but it's incredibly freeing when you let people in and you let them in. It's tough as a guy a lot of the times to let people in. This is a tool that helps you do that voluntarily as well. It can also be used in custody battles. God forbid you get to that point, but it's incredibly important that your kids are around someone who's sober. So it's court admissible in all 50 states and in Canada. It's trusted by over 200,000 people and is considered the gold standard in court. Judges accept this stuff. This can be written into your custody agreements. If you're already past the point of no return and you just want to make sure at this point that your kids are around someone who's safe, get a Soberlink. Soberlink's been incredibly generous, and they're offering our listeners a 50% off coupon by going to the website soberlink.com/wheels. Just enter your email address in, and they will send you a coupon. And again, this device it's not like your typical drugstore or grocery store breathalyzer. It has military-grade facial recognition technology. It is tamper-proof. You cannot screw with this thing. If there's a way around it, they have already thought of it. It is the gold standard. It's an incredible product. So if this sounds like something that you might be interested in, give Soberlink a look and support the companies that support our show. We really appreciate them. All right, let's get it going.
You ready?
Yep.
All right, this first question is something that I see a lot, actually. And it's not a question that you can just answer with one sentence. But I feel like people want an answer that's just like one sentence long, but it's actually quite deep. What made you finally get sober?
It's tougher than you think to answer it. I think that a lot of people are looking for sort of like this packaged answer, or like this magic thing where it's like I woke up one day and I just didn't want to anymore. And it was sort of like that, but at the end of the day, I got sick and tired of lying to you specifically. I got so sick and tired of lying to you.
What about lying to yourself?
That too, but what was more on my mind was lying to you. It is the toughest thing in the world to look someone in the eyes that loves you and trusts you and to speak untruths, to tell them something that you know is not true. to just lie. It's the worst feeling in the world. And the guilt just, it like rotted me out from the inside. It was like rust, man. It just chipped away at me bit by bit. If you've never seen the movie Flight with Denzel Washington, he describes it beautifully near the end of that movie, where he talks about it's as if he had reached his lifelong limit of lies, and it's like he just couldn't tell another lie. I remember when I finally just gave in and just got honest with you that I had a serious problem and I really wanted to be a better man and I couldn't do this anymore and I needed to get help and I was willing to do anything to get help. That was a result of all of the lies preceding that had just worn me out, and I couldn't lie anymore, man. I just couldn't lie to you. It's the worst feeling in the world, lying to someone that trusts you and that loves you. It's the worst. It's like this person has given you this gift, which trust is a gift. I mean, you earn it in some sense, but you earn it by in our situation anyway. I earned it sort of by default, and it was built built on false pretenses. You know,
Yeah.
I was telling you I was someone that I actually wasn't, and then over time you believed it, and that made it even worse because I knew the truth. You know?
Yeah.
And then the other part of that was I wanted to be a better man. I just wanted to be a better man. I got sick and tired of not being the person I promised and the person that I was capable of being. I couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, and you didn't realize, neither one of us realized what the lying would have done to me later on, years later.
I don't think anyone does.
No.
You tell a little white lie and you can sort of rationalize that in your mind. Like I had a reason to tell that lie, but you don't recognize how damaging that is to people over time. It erodes their sense of trust in themselves.
Yes.
Because now the way that they interpret the world is faulty. That's what they become convinced of. And it makes them feel crazy. And it makes them wonder who they can trust, if anyone. And then they can't even trust themselves. Lying is one of the most damaging things that you can do to somebody.
Well, yeah, especially in your most intimate relationship.
Yeah. Like you believed me when I told you where the money went. You believed me when I told you that I hadn't used anything or drank anything. You believed me when I told you
that you were going to a donut store and then driving around the lake or whatever, and you were doing something else. Like there were a lot of things that I trusted you with.
Yeah, and lying it's a full-time job. Like because then you have to remember what you lied about and the story that you told, and like there's so much work involved, and it'll get you. It'll get you in the end. It really will. That's what got me.
I don't think that a lot of people or like a lot of addicts even realize how damaging the lies can be to other people within their lives, not just themselves.
You
think you're only harming yourself. You think, oh, this is just my own problem. This is my own issue. This is what I'm dealing with. I can lie to myself. I can lie to them. Everything will be okay. I'll figure it out. But you don't realize what that actually does to another person. And I think that that's why us having these kinds of conversations is really important to a lot of people out there, is that the lies that you were telling your partners is very, very harmful to them in the future. It can make them feel a certain way.
Yeah, you don't recognize it in the moment. You just don't. You think that you're saying what you need to say to get by because, like for me, I was like, I've got this under control. I've got this under control. I just need you to back off. And so I'll say whatever I need to say in that moment to make you back off.
Right.
And then I'll get it under control.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. But then there's a lot of people who will say, oh, well, that's just my addiction. The addiction fueled my lies.
Well, it does in some sense.
Okay. But I'm not going to accept that as an excuse because it still hurt me. It was the impact.
That's fair.
Honestly, I don't care about your intentions in that matter. I cared that it actually impacted me.
Yeah. I think what I'm trying to say is that you're not thinking of it like, I'm going to hurt you with this. Like the last thing that I think anyone wants to do to someone they love is to hurt them. It's certainly not your intention. So when people say like the addiction fuels the lie, it does because the addiction becomes more important than really anything else. And so you'll say whatever you need to say to keep that going. If you're not ready to stop, then you'll just say whatever you need to say to keep that going.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you put that in front of your loved ones because you think if my loved ones really understood what I was dealing with, then they wouldn't take this personally. But it doesn't erase the impact, and they do take it personally.
As they should.
And it does hurt them.
Right.
And it does impact them.
Yes.
So none of that matters. That's the story I told myself, so I guess I could get through the day with myself.
Yeah.
You know
that
what
makes
I mean?
sense, for sure.
And that's like I get the question a lot. Like, do people know that they're doing this? And I've always described it. It's almost like the difference between first-degree murder and manslaughter. First-degree murder is like it's premeditated murder. You know, like I'm going to say this thing to hurt you. That's not it's more like manslaughter most of the time anyway, where it's like I'm going to I'm not being honest. I'm not doing the right thing. So I could get a result, A, but there's collateral damage and people get hurt in the process. And so that's like manslaughter, right? Like I didn't mean to hit that person with my car, but I was drinking and driving. So you kind of put yourself in that situation. So is it intentional? Not in the sense that people think like intentional.
Right.
I think people watch too many movies and they think
I think
like,
so too.
People generally aren't, like, unless you're with some kind of like supervillain narcissist type, they're not premeditating like hurting you.
Right.
Generally not. It's a spur of the moment. How do I protect myself? How do I protect this? A lot of times it's like to prevent bigger fights. It's like I can just say a lie right now and we won't have to argue for an hour about something stupid. I'll just lie about it.
Right. But even if you didn't mean to, it's still your responsibility to deal with those consequences that come along with it.
Yeah. And that's what honestly and telling the truth is about. That's what accountability is about.
Yeah.
I guess I got ready to do that finally. I was like, I didn't even care at that point. Like I fully expected you to leave me and you didn't. I got lucky. But if you would have, I still would have done what I did.
Well, that kind of is going to get me to the next question. Did you think that I would actually leave you?
I knew there'd be a point.
At some point.
100%.
Right.
I don't think it would have been like right away, but we were already on that road. Spring of 2013. I bet you by the following spring, that'd have been it.
Probably.
Within a year.
Yeah, I think so. Because it really did spiral out of control pretty quickly after we got married and got pregnant and had the baby. Like it was within, I guess when I got pregnant, it was like 18 months. And then if it would have kept going, I think I would have been like, okay, I need to do something about this.
Yeah, it was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think you probably would have at some point.
Did you ever feel like you were going to die at some point?
100%. I never thought I would make it to 30.
I remember you telling me that even when we were younger, you're like, I'm not going to make it to 30. And I was like, I don't even know what the hell that means. Why are you even saying that?
I wasn't like quite suicidal, although I guess you could argue. I entertained the idea a lot.
Yeah.
But I didn't want
to
leave you and our daughter at that point. I didn't want to like invalidate the life insurance policy.
Yeah.
So I assumed that I would probably just die of an overdose at some point.
That's crazy.
And I just didn't care. Like, that's the thing. It's like, you're not suicidal necessarily, but you kind of are.
Right.
Because you continue to put the stuff in your body and you just don't care anymore. Like, I did not care if I woke up anymore.
Right. Right. I think that's pretty common with anybody with any type of any mental issue. Like I went down that path even without addiction, feeling like that.
Yeah.
Just being like, I kind of want to just go under a rock and never wake up,
yeah,
because it gets really difficult.
Yeah. I think all of us at some point in our life probably have those thoughts, but I think it was a common daily thought at that point.
Yeah.
Where I just didn't care anymore. I was like, I've screwed it up so bad. Like there's no point in it anymore. Like this is like in my mind, I just made peace with the fact, like there are plenty of people that die before they're 30. I'll just be one of those, like big deal.
Yeah.
I just kind of lost the value in life, I suppose. I just didn't have a reason anymore.
So what was your rock bottom moment? We've talked about this on the show before, but I don't know.
Everything just came to a head. I was on a business trip. Everything came to a head and I'd gotten caught in a lie and I was about to tell another lie to get out of that one. And I just got so exhausted. I was so exhausted with myself and with that constantly having to tell a lie, repair, build things back up.
We've been having the same fight for months.
Over and over and over and
over. And over and over. And I was really recognizing the pattern. But you were also really good at coming in and gaslighting me and lying to me about it. And then, like, oh, I'll do better. And giving me that hope that you would not spend all of our money on bullshit. And then it just kept happening. So I think that you must have gotten to a point where you were just like,
I imploded.
I'm so tired of having this fight.
You get so exhausted with everything. And I just didn't care anymore. I was like, I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to be honest. And whatever happens, happens. And because I cannot do this anymore. I cannot fight this anymore. I can't pretend anymore. I can't keep up with this anymore. I'm exhausted. I'm just done. Imagine just like a day where you just quit your job because you're just so fed up. Yeah. It was like that.
Enough is enough.
I quit my addiction like you would quit a job that you hate. It's just like at some point, like I'm done. And it's not like I could just quit and everything was happily ever after. It's like I went to treatment for 30 days and had to get help. And then went to IOP for 90.
Right.
And then, I continued to get help through a sponsor. I worked a 12-step, which isn't by any means the answer for everybody. It's just what I did and it worked for me. Yes. And continue to. So I just and this is far less work. And that's the thing. I did the math one time. on the amount of time that I spent fabricating truths, which is not a lot of time, but you still kind of have to fill in the gaps if you're a professional liar to
Professional liar.
yeah, like let's just say I had told you a story about where I was. I had to keep remembering that, and I had to build a story from that story.
Yeah, no, I get it. It sounds exhausting as hell. That's why I don't lie. Like, I mean, that's one of the reasons. I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
And it feels so phony to me. It's like, that's not who I ever wanted to be.
Yeah.
I just got exhausted. I just rage quit,
You just got tired of your own bullshit.
basically.
I mean, if you really think about it, and I think that happens for anybody who really wants to change, even in our situations, is that we get tired of living by our own bullshit.
Yeah, and like when you're done, I don't say this to encourage anyone to like wait for the day that you feel this way, but there will come a day where you don't care anymore. Like you just don't care. You don't give a shit one way or the other. And take advantage of that. That's desperation calling.
Yeah.
But the thing about desperation is it has an expiration date.
Right.
If you don't use it or do something with it in the moment.
I was going to say you can ignore it at some point too and start gaslighting yourself in that situation as well.
Yeah,
and stay in denial.
Think about the accounts of people that have turned their lives around. Like, let's say from like a health journey, people that were like morbidly obese and they weren't taking care of themselves. Like there came a day where they just got sick and tired of it. And it's like, I just don't give an F anymore.
Yeah.
I don't care. But it's not like I don't give an F. Let me just keep doing this. It's like, I don't give an F. I'm going to try one more thing. And I was at the point where like, if this didn't work, then I probably would have taken my own life. I just like, that's how fed up I was. Like, I'm going to give this thing a shot.
You were just going to go, just from taking too much.
It wasn't going to be long with the amount of stuff that I was taking at the time.
Yeah.
I was taking so much shit.
All right. So I like this question. What did you think recovery was going to be versus what it actually is?
I thought it was going to be really, really hokey and corny, like church camp. That's the only way I can describe it. Like I thought it was going to be like vacation Bible school. I thought it was going to be a bunch of pastors with lisps walking around, like everyone be super positive.
Why do they have to have lisps? It's so
I'm stereotyping a little bit here, but like, you know, everything, let's be positive. It's going to be great. And like, you know, we're going to go on these little like sober outings and it was going to be super corny. And I thought that I would never have fun again. I thought that I would never have a good vacation again. I thought that life would just be, I thought that I would avoid it and I would miss it for the rest of my life. That's what I thought. I thought that it would just be a game of attrition where I just had to like outlast the cravings and like the desire to want to put shit in my body and get fucked up.
Did you feel like it was just recovery from getting rid of the substance, or did you feel like there was going to be more to it or not?
I think it was just in the substance in the beginning. Like I thought that I would just have to stop using the substance and I would have to, like once I did that, I thought that everything else would just take care of itself.
Ah, okay. That's interesting.
I was pretty sure that if I could just stop that, then everything else would be fine.
Right. I think a lot of people have that mentality.
And it is the first step. Like, don't get me wrong. Like I would challenge you to try to live the life that you think you're going to live while continuing to use the substance, because chances are you've been trying that and failing.
Right. Right.
Like, and I've always said, like, it would be disingenuous for me to sit here and say that, like, if I could drink right now without any consequence whatsoever, I would drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be a big deal. And I would just be like anyone else in the world.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But when I drink or when I use, I have consequences. And all like what I had to accept about myself was that's just the way I am. And at some point, I don't know, like once something gets in my body, I need more of it. I don't stop. I want it to be stronger. I want it to last longer. I want to keep it going. I love that feeling. And so I don't know, I guess.
Okay. But I think that a lot of people may feel that also we hear it a lot that recovery is you recovering from traumas or you learning new coping mechanisms and all this and that. But I feel like it's more than that. And it can be different than that. What are your thoughts?
I didn't think about any of that stuff really.
I know that, but what is recovery to you now? Like, what is it now?
Oh, wow. Okay. So you're saying, what is it now?
Yeah. Like what actually is recovery? Like you first thought it was just removing the substance and you thought it was going to be hokey and then you were just going to be miserable for the rest of your life. From
sort
not doing
of
things.
like, but I had hope that I could be happy and then I could almost like forget this ever happened. And I think in some ways was what I was really hoping for. But what is actually now? It's completely different than that. So when I first removed the substance, what I found was that life was really difficult. It was tough, man. It was tough because for all of my teenage years and most of my 20s, that's how I dealt with anything.
It wasn't even dealing with stuff. Sometimes you just did it because you were bored.
That's what I mean.
Like it was just you
if I
wanting
dealt
to
with-
feel
if I
good.
was
You just
bored,
wanted to feel.
if I was
you just wanted to
stressed,
feel differently.
if I wanted to celebrate,
Right.
if I wanted to just turn
It
a
wasn't to
boring
numb-
afternoon into something like interesting.
But it wasn't to numb out for you, mostly.
Not always.
Always.
Sometimes
no, maybe
it was,
towards the end.
once you have kids and your career gets a little more serious and you've got like a lot of responsibilities, I was absolutely numbing because I just couldn't deal with basic stress that everyone else seems to
Because
deal with so easily.
you didn't learn how to do that. I mean, that's.
Yeah, so like what recovery became for me was really just a path of growing up. And that's the only way I can describe it. It's just growing up. Like I had to learn how to grow up. And what I mean by that, growing up, it sounds like I'm belittling it, but this is really what it felt like. I had to learn, like I always felt like there was a day at school where they passed out a syllabus that told you how to respond to stress and how to act. And it's, I don't know, it just seemed like everyone else was raised differently and like they had mentors or something. And I've just missed out on that. And so in recovery, I had to learn how to do that stuff at a later age.
Okay,
you know?
so you had to learn how to be emotional.
I had to learn how to
emotionally mature.
Yeah, I had to learn how to develop. Like, okay, I had to develop awareness of what my emotions even were when I was feeling them because I didn't even know. I didn't know if I was depressed or angry. I couldn't tell the difference. I didn't know if I was sad. I didn't know if I was, like depressed or anticipatory. I didn't know if I was anxious. I didn't know what I was. I couldn't even put my finger on what I was actually feeling in the beginning. That's how lost I was.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
So
You're not
I had
special
to-
in that aspect.
So I had to figure out what am I feeling and what does this mean? Okay, so what is this emotion? Now, where's it coming from? Where does that stem from? And I had to learn the language of emotions. That was like a big part of it in the beginning. Then I had to learn, I guess, most important lessons that probably I think I learned is that I'm not a slave to my first thought. I'm reactive by nature. I'm reactive. When something happens, I react, and it actually can be an asset sometimes. Sometimes people that react are great. Like you want someone that can react if there's an emergency. They will just react and they'll take care of shit.
Yeah.
And they don't think twice about it. But it doesn't work well whenever you're stressed out at work or whenever the kids wake up crying or whenever you've got too much on your plate or whenever you have money problems or any of that stuff. Reactivity doesn't really serve you, especially if you're not emotionally attuned.
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to pause between my first thought, which is not my friend.
Okay, that's just regulating your emotions too, though. That's something that you're having to learn.
Yeah, definitionally, that's what I was doing. I was learning how to regulate my emotions, which was not react to them.
Right.
Take a moment, reason, and then respond. So I had to learn the difference between reactions and responses.
Yeah, which we have to do the same.
Yeah, in the beginning, everything was just a reaction.
I think a lot of adults struggle with this. I don't think that this is anything special just to addiction.
I think with addiction, what you get, though, is I believe wholly that it stunts you emotionally.
Yes, I agree there.
And so it's like arrested development. I wasn't your average 26-year-old dude. I was a 26-year-old dude with like the coping skills of a 13-year-old dude.
Right.
And there are some people who are in their 50s who started using really heavily in their 20s. And so you have as someone that looks to be 50-something years old, and you would expect them to respond like a 50-something year old. But on the inside, they're working with tools that are really limited, that they picked up along the way sometimes, but most of them are just set in stone when they were really young.
Yeah.
And so you have to learn how to grow up really, really quick.
Yeah, and I think that once you remove the substance, it's easier to grow up quicker than it would be if you just like tried to grow up while you were still using a substance.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily work that way.
I think to encompass it all, it really became about relinquishing control over outcomes. Like I was so obsessed with outcomes and how I could influence a situation to get what I needed out of it.
Yeah.
I just mean uncertainty. We had something happen at work today, like something that could cost the company a ton of money. It could be really bad for everyone. And there's that uncertainty that hangs out over it. And I like guarantees and answers. And so I would rack my brain all day, all night long about what can I do to fix this? What can I do to fix this? And most of the time, this stuff is out of your control. But I obsess over it like it's my problem to fix. There's so many problems in life like that. And I learned how to let go. I had to let go of things and just say like, it's going to be okay.
Right.
Which is, I feel like you're looking at me like I'm crazy, but like this is a lesson that was like profound to me.
I'm not. I don't think you're crazy. I think a lot. I think you're making yourself out to be like special in this, and I don't think you're as special as you
You really think
as
that a
you
lot
think.
of adults struggle with this?
100%.
Like without addiction?
Yes, I do.
To
I
some
do.
degree.
Yes, I do. I think that there are a lot of people out there who struggle. There are a lot of emotionally immature people that do not struggle with substances that have this issue of wanting these specific outcomes. I think that that's like just part of nature. That's just who we are as humans, and we have to learn how to cope and deal. I don't think that our parents, that generation, they didn't do the best job at teaching us how to cope or how to adult. They just didn't.
I don't know. I always remembered, maybe I just remembered the people that seemed to handle things well. And so I always compared to that.
I don't think it's like that much at all. But when I look at recovery within you and what I think that you are, is you said it perfectly earlier. It's just growing up. It's really just becoming the person you want to be. It's being true to yourself. It's being authentic. It's learning how to be the best version of yourself possible. It's living by your values. It's being honest. It's not necessarily all this deep, dark shit that a lot of people talk about. Sometimes it's just growth. It's just learning life skills and how to navigate life with some tools that you weren't really taught growing up.
And even when it comes to trauma, like if stuff that happened in your childhood or whatever, most of the time what you need to know about those things is that they weren't your fault. They weren't your fault. That it's not because you lack worth or that you're not worthy of love or that you deserved any of that stuff. And that at some point it becomes your responsibility that you let it define you, as opposed to saying I'm a survivor.
Right.
It's moving beyond a victim mindset. And so that's how I dealt with a lot of that. And that honestly wasn't that difficult.
I was going to say that wasn't even that wasn't a big part of your recovery until later on. And even then it wasn't even that big. It was just like, okay, what am I going to do?
Yeah. I don't think I dealt with any of that stuff the first year.
We talked about, this recently in the, you don't have to know exactly why you are the way you are. It's just better. You can work on how to fix it without knowing the why. And that can get you started. And then eventually you can deal with the why. But did you have to learn empathy in recovery? You've always
I don't know. Like the question almost seems like you're asking, like, did I not have empathy that I had to learn what it was?
No. Did you? I know that you've had empathy because I've been with you since we were 14 years old. And I remember you being empathetic before you started going down that path. But a lot of people will compare addicts to narcissists, and narcissists lack empathy. And during your most active addiction, I did recognize that you were selfish. You didn't give a shit about what was going on within me or what I was dealing with. And I felt like it took you a while for you to really open up the empathy part of yourself until later on into recovery.
Here's how I would describe how that worked for me is the golden rule, right? Treat others the way that you would want to be treated. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're someone that is struggling with addiction, my guess is that behind that, there is some kind of trauma in your life that has been unresolved, some kind. At some point, I had convinced myself that I didn't deserve to be told the truth, and it didn't bother me. I'd convinced myself that it wouldn't even bother me. So I think the golden rule for me was treat others the way you would want to be treated. And I think that I did that, unfortunately, because I wouldn't care if I got lied to about that. Why would she care? I wouldn't care if someone said that to me. I wouldn't care if they didn't pay me. I wouldn't care, like whatever. Like I didn't care. I didn't think that I was worthy of it. So why the hell would anyone else care about this thing that I don't care about? Mm-hmm. So what I had to recognize was that I was worthy of it and everyone else is as well. And the way that I treat people is direct reflection of the way that I feel about myself. So when it came to empathy, it wasn't just like recognizing when I had done something wrong and like putting myself in your shoes and how that must have felt. I think in a lot of ways it was like backtrack it to why do I think it's okay to lie to someone and why that wouldn't affect them. And it's like, well, because I wouldn't care. Well, why wouldn't you care? Maybe because I was lied to a lot. Is that okay? Do you actually like being lied to? I'm asking myself these questions. Like, I'm like, no, I don't. Like, it makes you feel like you can't trust people. It makes you feel alone in the world. It makes you feel like you're on an island. It's like, yeah, okay. Give other people the same thing that you would want. Like, how would you prefer? If you could go back in time, how would you prefer it? Yeah. And it's like, I wouldn't want to be lied to. I wouldn't want to treat people that way. Okay, so let's not do that anymore. So I think you have to develop, this is going to sound terrible, but I think you have to develop empathy from within almost in a sense first to recognize that like the feelings that I denied myself for so long, that's not shared by everyone around me. They feel deeply. They care. They're not, I'm not going to say broken, but they're not wired the way that I'm wired. Yeah. You know, so everyone else feels that stuff, dude. It matters to them. Okay. Mm-hmm. Just because you don't care doesn't mean that they don't care. Yeah. And so it was more or less like, I think I had to fix it within myself first. And then I started to show up differently with other people in the world, especially you, and to truly feel what you must have felt. And I'm feeling all this stuff at the same time too. And that's a really another tough part about recovery, I think in general, is that like, it's really, really, it's like drinking through a fire hose emotionally. You feel all this stuff all at once. And like, I felt terrible that I had ever denied you honesty. And I felt terrible for the way that you must have felt when I was dishonest and how just how alone in the world you must have felt when your best friend is lying to you about something, and like what that must have done to your sense of self and how you see the world. And like that just crushed me. And so you have to be really careful not to spiral into shame and just recognize it and say, okay, I think I know why I did this and it's not okay. Now I have to fix this.
Right.
And so that starts at some point by just saying like, I'm not doing this anymore. And then slowly but surely I dealt with all the emotions of the shame and all that other stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I think that, to answer your question, I think that like I always had empathy, but if you deny yourself empathy, you're not going to show it to anyone else either.
That's interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. All right. So what was the hardest part of rebuilding our marriage, do you feel?
I think it was the time that it took. I think I wanted everything to be better tomorrow, you know? Like,
yeah.
I wanted everything to be better right away.
I don't think that you had that mentality though, because you gave me a lot of space. You had a lot of rebuilding of trust
That's what I mean.
to happen.
I meant the rebuilding of trust,
Okay.
like rebuilding trust. Like I want you to trust me. I want you to see me as like this great guy, and I want you to feel safe around me. I don't want you to have to walk on eggshells around me. I want all your triggers to like dissipate quickly. Like I am so serious about this deal. Like I just want you to like give me a pass, and I promise you I'll end up being that dude.
Right.
But I recognize quickly, before I even left treatment, that's not the way it worked. But I think in the back of my mind, I guess I wanted to be everything all at once. Does that make sense? To rebuild the marriage?
I mean, also a lot of people think that you go to treatment, you come home and everything's great, and that just doesn't work. I mean,
it's like taking a car to the body shop.
Yeah,
or something.
it doesn't work that way.
Hell no,
it
man.
took years to rebuild trust. Like I would trust you in certain areas of our lives, but there were things that I would say took 10 years of me actually trusting you. I didn't fully trust you for probably 10 years.
Yeah.
It takes a very long time. But it didn't mean that I was like resentful or a complete bitch or anything towards you because I didn't have trust. I knew that there was just like different layers of it that needed to be rebuilt. And I think that was probably the most difficult thing for us.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say that it was like, it was difficult for me because I always knew that I could do it. Like I looked forward to the day when we would be like, we're better now than we were even before any of this stuff ever happened.
Yeah.
And so I guess I looked forward to that day so much. Like I was hopeful. Don't get me wrong. I was really hopeful, and that kept me going.
Yeah. Like, you kept going.
Looking forward over the horizon, like saying like over there on the other side of the horizon is that version of us that exists. Like I can't wait to get there. And so I guess anticipatory, it's almost like, man, like, what can I do today to make that better? Right.
But you were like, but you said
you
earlier
have to figure it out
that you wanted it done
piece by
quickly,
piece.
but I don't think that you necessarily wanted it done. I mean, of course we wanted it done quickly, but you gave me space and you gave yourself time to prove it. You knew that I wasn't just going to come in and say, oh yeah, I forgive everything. Everything's great.
There's a right and a wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to do it quick? Do you want to do it right?
When quick doesn't work.
And I knew that, but I think in the back of my mind, I was just, like Rome wasn't built in a day. And so that can be difficult. But other than that, I think a lot of it's just emotional regulation. And then being gentle with yourself when you screw up. I didn't have any relapses, but I think emotional lapses for sure.
Oh, for sure.
I would slip back into old behaviors. Like I think I've flipped a coffee table sober. Like I've gotten angry sober. Like I've done a lot of things emotionally that I used to do. And I'd get pretty disappointed in myself about that kind of stuff. I'd beat myself up about that kind of stuff. Like, damn, am I actually ever going to change? Like, am I ever going to be able to stop myself from reacting? Am I ever going to, and that stuff you can beat yourself up about. But for the most part, it was,
but
man,
you
I don't
use
know.
that as fuel to change though. It's
I
not
do.
Like you
And another thing is that I've always loved the work. Like I've always loved the work.
You like the challenge.
I love the challenge of it. And I don't know. It's almost like after you finish a workout, you feel proud of yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you feel like
yes,
you've done something.
Yeah.
That's how it feels every day.
Yeah.
Every day I stayed sober, I was closer to that version of me and that I wanted to be. And like, that was really fulfilling.
Well, what about whenever I went through my rock bottom? Do you think that was probably one of the most difficult things that we had to go through to rebuild? That
was really tough because I knew that I had played a part in that, right? So that was tough. That was really tough, knowing that I had played a part in that all those years of walking on eggshells, all those years of being lied to, all those years of the deceit and the uncertainty and not being able to trust yourself led to where you ended up to some degree, not all of it, but some of it. That was really, really tough. And then I think also knowing how to fix it for you, but not being able to fix it for you. Probably the same thing that spouses feel a lot of the time. Like, you could have fixed my problem for me if I'd listened,
Yeah.
but you had to learn it on your own. I had to learn it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so hard to watch a loved one go through that.
It is.
Just on the other side, you know?
Right.
You weren't dealing with the substance, but you were battling the same demons.
Right. Yep.
That was tough.
Yeah, it was. All right. So what is something that I taught you that changed how you show up as a man?
Man, so many lessons, honestly. I think that doing the right thing, no matter the consequences, is one of them. Like, just do the right thing. Like, it may not be the sexiest outcome, but it's the right thing, and that's what matters. Doing the little things right, not cutting corners, that was a big part of it too. Like, once again, like, do it right. If you're going to do it right. You've never been like explicit about how you teach lessons. A lot of that stuff is sort of baked in to just the way that you are. And I think the standards that you have for yourself, that kind of, in the best way possible, bleed out onto me and even our kids. I think you showed me how to show up honestly. You've taught me how to show up honestly. You've taught me how to be myself, just to be authentic and be okay with whatever comes from that. You've shown me love all the way through it. You let me know it was safe to be myself, and I could fail, and that was okay. And I could fail safely with you. Because I feared failure so much. I think it drove a lot of the anxiety and the reason I put stuff in my body. Man, you've been a role model for me in so many ways. Like, you've just been.
That's scary.
You've always lived right. You've always done things the right way. You've always done things the right way. Even if it meant that you weren't going to benefit necessarily from it, you were still going to do it the right way. And I think that's a lesson that I've taken from you. And I think that I've learned a ton about that. Just do it the right way. It's not going to be the sexiest outcome. Like, you're not going to get wealthy. It's not a get quick rich scheme by any means, but like, in the end, you will have built something worthwhile.
It's kind of crazy because you used to not like those qualities about me.
Yeah, I used to.
That was moral oral.
Yeah.
I don't blame you though. It's okay. All right. So what does a healthy marriage mean to you now?
I think emotional intelligence is part of it, certainly, but that's not really what I want to get at. I think that
Communication?
Open, honest communication and accountability, I think, is what makes a good marriage.
And what about safety?
Safety is part of that. So I think that when you can be yourself with somebody, truly yourself, just be yourself, and you get love back, that's a gift. It's a great movie. That's the best stuff in life, when you can rely on somebody and you can need them at times. Like, that's a beautiful thing. You know,
right? We're supposed to depend on each other.
And when you fall short in life, that there's a safe place to land. There's a safe place to fail. And then you've got someone there to motivate you and pick you back up and challenge you. I think that really healthy marriages challenge each other. I think that two people challenge each other to be the best versions of themselves. And it's like the Michelangelo phenomenon.
Right.
You know, when Michelangelo stared at this block of marble, he didn't see a block of marble. He saw Michelangelo inside of it, this beautiful finished product. And over time, we do that to each other.
Yeah.
When you're willing to accept the challenge.
Right.
You know, so I think that the best marriages are those which, I mean, I don't think that there can be a whole lot of ego involved in it either.
Ooh, yeah.
You have to set aside the ego. And like, I think that there are times when what's best for the relationship isn't always what's best for me in that moment, you know? So you have to rid yourself.
Sacrifices.
You have to rid yourself of selfishness to some degree. And this is like all just growing up stuff.
Yeah.
I think that that's what makes us great, though, is that we're able to challenge one another, and we're able to take that and not just get pissed about it and stay mad for a week and like, that's just how I am. You knew that when you married me, that kind of stuff.
No, we sit in that shit and then we move forward. We try to figure out a solution. We get mad at first, but then we move on.
Yeah, and I've always
learned from it.
Like, I've always felt safe. Like, I always wanted to do well. I don't know. Like, part of being a guy, I think, is like, and traditionally, it's like you're a protector and you're a provider. Like, those were the two roles that men had for eons, you know, for ages. But that's evolved. Mm-hmm. It's evolved so much. Like, those two things still very well may be expected in your marriage. But on top of that, you're expected to be a kind and loving and present father. And you're supposed to be a role model for your children. You're supposed to be someone who's present for your children, involved in their lives, not just to the degree that their mother tells you, but to the degree that like you would want someone to be involved in your life.
Ooh, that's, you know? Deep.
So
yeah.
Like, I know my kids' teachers' names. I know when their tests are. Like, I know this stuff because I want to know this stuff. I don't know this stuff because it checks the boxes of like being a good guy. It's just
you know their appointments, and you got too involved, and now it's all messy.
Sometimes it's too many cooks in the kitchen. But yeah.
I'm so grateful for you. I'm just giving you shit.
Man, I think, yeah, just like being involved like that. And it's not just about being a provider or a protector. Like, those two things can be really important depending on your family and your structure and like how you guys decide to do it. I don't think there's a wrong answer. It's whatever works for you two, you know? But I think so much of it now is also like you need to do all those things, and you also need to take care of yourself, and you also need to be emotionally intelligent, and you also need to be able to have emotional conversations, and you also need to be someone that people can feel safe around. And I don't just mean like physically. I think that a lot of guys think that I'll protect you, but will you protect me emotionally? Like, will you protect me whenever I don't feel like I'm enough?
Right. Will you allow me
will
space
you let me fail?
To have a conversation that's really difficult to where I need to speak on how I feel? And like, are you going to allow that space for me? Or are you just going to tell me I'm sensitive and you need to get over it? Like, that's not safe. I need a safe space. I need to be able to talk to somebody who is going to allow me to feel whatever I need to feel and have an open ear. Have you always felt safe with me?
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that you provide that for me. It should be reciprocal. I think, it should go both ways. It shouldn't just be a one-way street where, and man, I think that, a lot of guys struggle with this. I see it a lot, because weren't necessarily taught how to show up like that. And I'm not saying that it's an excuse, but there's a lot of the reasons why things are the way they are. It's not an excuse, again, because we can learn. I'm proof of evidence of that. But if you ask ask any self-professed mama's boy, what's your favorite thing about your mom? So she knows exactly what you need and when you need it. She knows how to comfort you when you're sad. She knows what you need to hear whenever you're down on yourself. She knows when to check you and call you on your shit, because she can anticipate your needs. It's because she pays attention. Guys can do this too, right? This is not unique to women. Did you just
compare me to a mom of you?
No, I'm just saying in general, like a lot of guys aren't this way, but they've been treated this way by their mothers. And so we had great role models of how to anticipate someone else's needs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I guess, I don't know.
Something gets lost and then they don't know how to do it.
It's like
they received it, but don't know how to give that.
Yeah. Just give it right back.
Okay. Can you talk about Independently Strong real quick?
Yeah. Okay. So Independently Strong is our program, our course. After all of this, the dust settled and everything else, we looked at our lives and our journey and thought, okay, how could we replicate this for people? Like, what are the main ideas? What are some of the things that we did well? What are some of the things we didn't do so well? And then we got with a licensed therapist, Dr. Christopher Taylor, to bring in the clinical expertise that was needed to really make this thing meaningful for people's lives. It is a course designed to help you build agency. If you don't know what that means, it's a course designed to help you make decisions in your life. If you feel stuck, if you feel like you don't know what to do, if you feel like you need to ask a million questions before you do anything at all, that's because you have lost agency. And it's because you have likely been in a situation where you've been all alone and you've felt like you are at the mercy of whatever anyone else in your life decides to do. Most times your spouse or partner that's struggling with addiction, and they kind of run the roost. And so you end up living in survival mode for years and years and years. And so how do you get out of that, right? One of the first things we do is we set you up with a relationship evaluation, which is also available as a mini course on the website, but it's going to walk you through. It's almost like an inventory for a relationship. Like, it's going to help you see exactly what it is, because I think many times we can wear rose-colored glasses when it comes to our relationships, and we don't recognize how bad it actually is. So that's the first thing that we do. Then we're going to teach you about trauma. We're going to teach you about trauma bonds. We're going to teach you about boundaries. We're going to teach you about how to build a healthy self. We're going to teach you how to find yourself again. So many people come to us and they say, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't even know what to do. I used to be this person with dreams and goals and ideas, and I used to be so sure, and now I'm not. And that is what addiction will do to loved ones. And so we help you rebuild that. It's got exercises. It's got not quizzes, but reflections, I should say, reflections in each of the modules, 10 modules long. There's also one about addiction that I do.
It's self-paced.
Self-paced,
because we know that everyone has busy lives, and we encourage you to try to do about a module a week if you can. And that should take about 1 to 2 hours, maybe. If
you do this, if you actually work through it, not just purchase it and just leave it in your inbox and never access the course, but if you do this, your life will change.
Yep.
I promise you that. Your life will change. Your life will get better. We don't teach people how to leave relationships. We don't teach people how to just stay in relationships. We teach people how to look at reality and respond, not react, accordingly. And
with clarity.
With clarity, not from a place of fear anymore, but from a place of clarity. And you can get 75% off if you put in the code WeLease75 at checkout.
Independentlystrong.com.
Yep, independentlystrong.com. Also,
or tufo.com.
Yeah, we've got a website, tufo.com. We've got a newsletter, comes out every week. It's totally free. We've got a a listener community on Facebook that you can access on our website as well. You've got to be a listener. So if you're listening to this, you can access it. If you don't, we're not going to let you in.
Yes. We're very particular.
Very particular
for a
about
reason.
that. We've got merch. We've got Recovery Rocks. This is Recovery Rock. This is a really cool way to show appreciation for someone else in your life that has walked through this journey of recovery with you. On the front's got our logo. On the back, it says, "Thank you for being my rock." We've got sweatshirts and stickers for water bottles like Paige has got over there. We've got all kinds of cool stuff up there. Yeah, mention newsletter. There's something else on that website.
Blog. We have also book recommendations that are not
That too.
necessarily addiction related. Sometimes some of them are just
Stuff that's helped us through life.
self-help books and
Yeah,
things that we appreciate.
stuff that has helped us through life.
I think we're good. Ready?
Yep.
All right, we're going to move on to a parenting category. You just talked about parenting, but I have some questions for you.
Ooh, fun.
And how do you talk to our kids about your past?
I'm just really honest with them about it.
Yep.
It's obviously age appropriate. When they were really little, like young, I mean like 4, 5, 6 years old, like early elementary school. It was simply that dad doesn't drink. I think I used to tell them like dad's allergic to it. I didn't exactly tell them what happened whenever I drank, but it's a easy way for a kid to understand. Most kids understand allergies, because they've had them at some point.
Yeah.
But I was always honest with them about what I'd been through, that I choose not to drink. I don't drink. As they get older and they start to understand things, I'm more open with them about the type of man that I used to be.
I'm very open with them at the type of man you used to be. It's not about addiction. It was about the behaviors, because I don't want my children to associate alcoholism and addiction as a disease or an allergy and just think that that's their problem and they just need to tolerate and accept poor behavior.
And I also don't want them to grow up.
Very big on behavior.
I also don't want them to grow up being scared of like having a healthy relationship with alcohol.
Yeah, we don't want
like
them
a
to
lot
have
of
that
adults
as well.
do. Like maybe you drink every so often, big deal. I don't want them to be scared either of that. So it's more about what dad's behaviors were like, about being dishonest, about being deceitful, about invalidating and devaluing their mother, about all that stuff.
Being an a-hole, that's about it.
Yeah, being an ass, being a complete asshole about stuff. That's the stuff we talk to them about now. But
it's really interesting conversations.
Teenage years and preteen, they get stuff a lot more now, and we'll continue to divulge more as time goes on, and they can understand it at an age appropriate level. But they're fully aware of what I've been through and what recovery means for me.
Yeah, I know that they can open up to some of their friends if they ever need to, which kind of makes it interesting for them because they have a different dynamic than a lot of other kids, but they understand things. So they understand if somebody's going through a rough patch because we talk about it with them. We understand, we let them know what we've been through and what we've gone through, and that they may have friends who have parents who are going through the same thing, so they can have decent conversations with them and have some support.
Yeah, and I'm really open, cool. Like with our son, about like struggling emotionally as a male and what that's like. And it's okay to have these feelings. It's okay that you have feelings. Like you have a problem. You are not a problem because you have feelings. Like it's okay to be a burden sometimes. It's okay to feel this stuff, and you can talk about these things. And I'm very, very, very open with him about that stuff.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. What are you doing differently as a dad? So our son wasn't even born, but I can say that your parenting style has changed within the last 5 years, like even within sobriety. Like you wanted to be a part of their lives when you were younger, but you were working on other things. It was different. It's not until recently that you actually became more involved. So what are you doing differently than you feel like you probably would have done before?
I think in the beginning it was like a kid raising kids, and part of that's because we were young, but another part of it was because I was like emotionally a kid and didn't really know how to deal with that stuff. I think now I'm pretty confident that like I'm an adult and I can be a mentor to you. I try to be a mentor to them as much as I possibly can, sharing any valuable life advice that I would have needed to hear had I been in their shoes about anything. And this can be about struggling with being overwhelmed at school, about drama, bullying, you name it. And I want to be involved in their lives. I think for me anyway, one of the best hedges against losing your kids is being involved with your kids, simply just being involved with them. And in addiction, if you've got addiction in your family, if you're a partner or spouse, oftentimes your kids take a back seat as you're trying to repair your marriage, your spouse or your partner, and your kids take a back seat. Don't let that happen.
Yeah.
Don't let that happen.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
You also have changed the way that you discipline the kids. It's very different than how it was when you were growing up, and like you've kind of evolved as a parent now with the way that you discipline the kids?
Man, yeah. Made a mistake and disciplined our daughter physically one time, spanked her, and I haven't done it since. I got spanked daily as a kid, like daily. It was just like normal day. It's just how things were back then, you know? And I'm not saying if you do that, it's bad. Listen, do what works for you. The way I was doing it though it was like punishment as opposed to like, what's the best way to teach someone a lesson, right? You can have consequences that make someone miserable without like hurting them.
Well, it's not about making them miserable either.
Making them fear you.
It's about teaching them lessons in life.
I never wanted my kids to fear me. And obviously I would like them to respect me, but I don't want them to fear me. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I never wanted them to see like a side of me. It's like dad's going to lose control or dad's going to lose his mind. He's going to flip out. And
you have made our children feel safe. And this is actually a question that I ask our kids, not regularly, but I probably ask them maybe once a year. I'll randomly say, hey, do you feel safe around dad? Because I just want to make sure that they feel safe, like around us. That's the most important thing that you can do as a parent with your children is for them to feel safe. And if they don't feel safe in your home, it causes many issues down the road. But it's something that I always want to make sure is like, do they feel safe? And they do feel very safe with you. They're like, Mom, what are you talking about?
Do you mean physically?
Physically and emotionally.
Yeah,
all of it.
I think emotionally, I want them to feel safe. Like I want them to know that they've got a problem. Like I'm not just a guy you can talk to. I'm the guy to talk to about that. Like you know exactly where to go because you know someone who is completely open with their own struggles that is not judgmental about them. That can help guide you through it. And I think that that's one of the benefits of walking through recovery is that you've got something that you can pass on, even if your kids are older, to other people in your lives or other people who are struggling and they don't know what to do. You can be that for other people. And if it does anything at all, it cements it further in your own mind. It makes you more of that version of that person that you aspire to be. But it also helps other people. You know, it's like for our kids, I always wanted them to know like the reason I'm doing this is because like I want to be there for you. I want to be a good dad. I want you to know that you can turn to me when anything is going on. There's no conversation you can't have with me.
Okay. How do you balance fatherhood with everything else you do?
I would say that being a dad comes first always.
Priority.
But it doesn't always
like
work
that
way perfectly, especially early on. Like I said, I had a lot of work to do on myself, and you gave me a ton of grace and patience, and you carried that load, man. You shouldered that boulder for
over the shoulder boulder
for a little while while I was getting it together. But the goal was always that, you know, I get to a point, it's like, okay, now I can walk on my own. I can be there. With work and stuff like that, it can be tough at times, but that's why we record late at night. It's why, you know, I've made it a point to organize the business as such that like I've got people that can take things after hours and I don't have to be gone all the time. And yeah, it's always been really important to me, but you kind of have to design it that way. It doesn't happen. Like if you just let life happen and expect to be a present parent, you have to design it that way. Like it has to be a priority.
Yeah. It does take time, like to find that balance, like anything in life.
It really does,
but
man.
But you do, as long as you put your kids first, like that should be priority.
And this is something I think I see a lot of spouses do that you didn't do. And even though you will say like you agree with you're going to disagree with what I'm about to say, but you didn't actually do this either. So you can disagree with it, but your actions showed otherwise. Is that you gave me the time and the patience to the degree that you knew I could show up. You let me show up in that way. And you didn't just insist like you need to be this guy today. You need to be that version of that dude like yesterday. You never like.
I didn't know that I needed that yet. Not until later.
So you didn't realize that you needed me to be that guy?
No. No.
Oh, I guess you don't know what you don't know because you didn't realize I could even do it.
Because remember, you feel like when somebody gets sober or out of rehab or whatnot, you're like, okay, they have to work on themselves. And it was really difficult and it was challenging. But it was like, I thought that, okay, well, I guess I should just be grateful because this is how it's supposed to be. So I didn't know any better.
Or on the other side, did you feel like since you'd never had it, you just didn't know that was an option?
Yeah, that could be too.
You know what I mean? Like you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
But when I was figuring my stuff out, and like I was heavily involved in recovery, like I was doing something for recovery, and for that first year, like almost every night. And then I switched it to where I was doing it during lunch hours, so I could be home at night. We had little kids and whatnot, but still really involved. And I would go to the treatment center 2-3 times a month or more. I was really involved in it, and I was reading stuff, and I was talking to you about stuff, and you gave me the the grace to allow me to do those things without, like, you pushed me. Don't get me wrong. Like, you let me know, like I need some help.
Need something. Yeah.
Like,
I need you
some
here
support.
now. Like, I need
you
something here. Like, can we please have a relationship in this moment? But I wasn't pushy about it. I did allow you to do your thing.
You didn't like flip out on me and like have
No.
us like come to Jesus. Like you got to quit this crap. Like me or that. It was nothing or anything like that. Like, I think that as well as a person can balance pushing someone and challenging someone to keep progressing and keep getting better, and then also giving them a safe place to like be who they are in that moment, you balance that perfectly.
Did I?
Yeah.
It was not intentional. It just kind of happened.
That's just in your makeup. Like I said, you're amazing. But
I think that's why it's really hard
but,
for me to articulate it, because I don't know what I did. I just did.
Well, I've seen a lot of spouses, especially in the community, that will be like, you know, they've been sober for 58 days. Like, when does this ever get better? And I'm like, well, what do you expect at 58 days? Like, this dude is just now figuring out, like, his brain is just now figuring out, like, we don't get drunk every day at 5 o'clock. And this is how I zone out.
I mean, the whole first year is.
So, like, I think you measure progress in terms of years, not days or months. It takes time. It takes a lot of time, but you allowed me that space to do that. But I think that there's rewards in it for you too, because little by slow, you get your partner back, you get your life back, you get the person that was promised, you know?
Yeah.
You get that help, you get that support, and it eventually becomes a fully reciprocal relationship where it's not just one-sided. But I think even early on, it's still kind of one-sided, which is why our show exists. It's just to validate and acknowledge that, yes, like, if you feel that way, that is completely normal, because you're still alone to a large degree.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, you do support them. It's just, it's hard, and it's okay to say it's hard. But I think I always allowed you to say, this is hard.
Right. And I think you would have allowed me to say things had I known that I need to bring some things up
100%.
that need to be discussed. But we didn't know that things needed to be discussed at that time. Because I was just going with the flow and grateful that, you know, you were becoming the man that you promised you were going to be. I didn't know that we needed to have more in-depth conversations about, you know, forgiveness and all that stuff.
But just pretend that you had been listening to our show for a year while this was going on, and you know all this stuff. You know this stuff needs to happen. Could you see how you would be insistent almost that, like, yo, you need to do this stuff like now? I
guess, but I still feel like I would have communicated it in a more positive way, because that's something that I try to do. Like, even with my triggers, like, I don't lose my mind on you if I had triggers. I would have a conversation with you of like, hey, look, this is something that happened that made me feel uncomfortable, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention. It was about the way I communicate things. It's not, I don't feel like I was ever really like, well, that's your fault that you triggered the shit out of me. Like, how dare you? I wouldn't be feeling this way if you didn't do what you had to do. If you didn't do what you did in the past. Like, I never did that with you. I didn't feel like that's part of my makeup. That's not who I am. It was more of like all about my approach and how I would bring things up to you. So I don't know.
You did a really good job. I just want to say that. I think that it's something I see a lot of people struggle with is like the timing of it all.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I would have heard the show, I probably would have been like, hey, you know, do you want to have a talk about this? I learned something, you know, it's about the way I would approach you. And you would take it in a way that I feel would be not defensive. You wouldn't be defensive. You would just be like, okay, let's talk about this and figure out how we're going to deal with it. I feel like our communication has always been on point. I just didn't know that that's something that I needed to discuss with him.
Anytime anything ever came up, you weren't attacking me.
No.
You were just letting me know how you were feeling.
Yes.
Like, this is how I felt when this happened.
Right.
And so then it's like, you're allowing me to approach it with curiosity and empathy as opposed to defensiveness. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
That's how it's always been between us.
Yeah, but that's not like me being manipulative or anything like that. That's literally just how I bring things up. That's how I've always felt like I communicate with anybody. It's like, this is how I feel about something. How can we tackle this? Instead of being accusatory or being ugly or you know, throwing you under the bus or anything like that. I never did that with you.
And we're going to talk about this in a future episode about how tone and approach can be everything. And to make a conversation productive, because not everyone's wired that way.
No.
Some people are wired to be they're wired to be reactive.
Yeah,
and that's just kind of how they are. They're like they're mean. Like they you know, they want to throw some zingers in there and they want someone to know, and and that can change the trajectory of an entire conversation. And it can be really tough if you're in the recovery to not slip back into your old patterns too. It can be really difficult.
Yeah, it can. All right. So what's one mistake you're determined not to repeat with your kids?
I didn't want my kids to grow up fearful. I didn't want them to grow up fearful. I didn't want them to fear that I was unstable. I didn't want them to fear that they couldn't talk to me about things. I didn't want them to be fearful physically. It has nothing to do with like finances or like being a provider or any of that stuff. I just wanted them to know that like they can fail safely with me, and like I will support them.
I love that. Fail safely.
Yeah, fail safely. Like I think the way I was raised is different than the way that they were raised. And I think another part of that too is that being involved in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be involved. Like whenever there's an award show at school or something like that, like I'll be there.
Yeah.
Like whenever you've got something going on for your extracurricular activities, I'll be there. I will be there.
Yep.
I will be there. I'll be taking pictures. I will be involved.
Yeah, we're very involved in our kids right now.
Like I will be involved with, like I will know your friends will know me, and it won't be weird, like creepy.
I don't know.
I wanted to be involved. I wanted to be a lot more involved. My parents did, and I think they did the best. But each generation kind of improves, and we also fail in some ways compared to the last. But that's one I think that everyone can agree on is a good thing.
Yeah.
Like not being a helicopter parent by any means.
Oh no.
Just being involved, man. Mm-mm. Just being involved with them.
Yep. Okay. So I'm really excited about this category because I think these questions are wonderful and I want to hear your answers. This is on mental and physical health. So what do you do when you're not okay?
When I'm not okay.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things that I will do is I'll say a set of prayers. And they are simply ways for me to acknowledge with the universe that I'm not in control of what's happening right now. And regardless of how much I worry, the outcome is going to be the outcome. You can torture yourself twice, which is really worrying is punishing yourself. Like what's going to happen is going to happen. And if the worst case scenario happens, that's going to be painful. Mm-hmm. And all the time you spent worrying will be doubly painful.
Yeah.
It's like Mark Twain said, I lived through 1,000 tragedies in my life, and some of which actually happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one of the first things I'll do is kind of relinquish control of stuff. And then physical fitness has been a huge part of recovery for me. I've got so much energy that needs to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And I have to stay moving in some way or I'll go crazy. So when I'm not well, it's generally because I haven't spent enough time in meditation or prayer that morning or throughout the day, conscious contact in my own way with this conception of this thing that I call it God. Who you call it whatever the fuck you want, doesn't matter, but something bigger than me, right? Taoist principles, Stoic principles, some things from like traditional religion, but all over the place. I have my own ideas about what soothes me, what I think God is. And so I get in touch with that stuff. And then it's physical fitness, big part of it. Stay moving, exercise, move heavy shit, break a sweat.
What about having a conversation with me? Do you ever feel like that helps you?
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Having a conversation with somebody who's safe.
Big time.
Like opening up.
Big time. That's another thing. Yeah, you're right. That's another I will do. I'll talk to someone. If you're my go-to, but I've also got some really close friends that get it, like really get it.
Yeah.
And not just people in recovery. I've got people in recovery that I can call that get it as well. But I've got some good friends that just get it.
Yeah.
People that support you, people that are in your corner, people that are there to listen and provide good insights and advice, challenge you at times. Like that's what I do. And when I'm wrapped around the axle about stuff, it's because one of those three things or all of them have been just kind of absent from my life.
Yeah.
Which happens from time to time. Like you get really busy and
yes.
like in recovery, you get your life back, but it doesn't mean life stops happening. Like you have to continue to use those tools.
Yes. So you basically just get back to your self-care, your basics,
That's
the
my
basics
self-care.
of self-care. And it's all the different categories of emotional, your mental, your physical, your spiritual, and then sometimes your environmental. Like if your area is chaotic and you need to clean it up, that's always something that's important.
That can be it too. Yeah. Sometimes it's just a change of scenery too.
Yeah.
Yes,
getting outside too.
Nature's always been an incredibly spiritual thing for me. Getting outside is huge. Mm-hmm. Just getting outside, just just change your scenery. Like that can just change your perspective. Whatever I can do to change my perspective in those moments is so good for me.
Yeah. And this doesn't just fix everything. Like whenever you do it for one day, like this takes a long time to be.
It doesn't even always fix it like in the moment. Sometimes you'll wonder why you did it, but I have to recognize I'd have been even worse off if I didn't.
Exactly. Right. And you gain something from it. Like there's got to be some type of a feeling of contentment within it. Like, when you get your endorphins up, whenever you work out, like you feel good for just a little
Yeah,
bit.
and
it may
sometimes
not-
that's enough. Like, life's not always going to be easy. There's going to be days and weeks or months and seasons in life that are really, really, really difficult. Sometimes just getting a couple of moments of reprieve is enough just to keep you sane. And that can be 10 minutes while during your workout you forgot about everything, you know?
Right.
It can be huge.
Like meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you deal with shame or self-doubt?
Shame is something that fuels me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we've talked about that
many
times.
I don't sit in shame.
You are amazing
and
at
don't
this.
get me wrong. Like, I have done things that I regret, and if I think about them long enough, I can really beat myself up. And I wish I wasn't that person. I wish I wouldn't have said those things or done that thing. But what's the sense in sitting in it? I have a choice. I don't have to be that person anymore. I can move forward. What I've found about human nature is that people are rather forgiving in general. Most people want to forgive. Most people want to continue a relationship with you. They just want to acknowledge they want it to be acknowledged that you made a mistake and that you hurt them. And you can do that without sitting there and kicking your own ass for hours on end about it.
Yeah.
What's the sense in that?
Gets you nowhere.
If it does anything at all, like taking accountability and sitting in that shame for a moment, it fuels me, man. It makes me want to like not make that mistake again.
Right. Like, I don't want to feel this way again. So what do I need to do to not feel this way again?
And that's that's the motivation.
Like, I need to not do it again and own it and move on.
So many people can beat themselves up, and I get it. I know that there are a lot of things that people have done that they regret. Some people have already lost their families and they don't even know like what's in it for me now, but there's something in it for you. There's something in it. Like your story's it's not over. Like, it's still being written. You get to decide what that looks like.
Yep.
You get to decide who you inspire one day or who you can motivate. There's always someone you can touch. If you've got children, you've still got an amazing opportunity to be involved in someone's life and make an impact on their life. It's not just like, oh, poor me, I feel shame and that's the end of it. I think that let it fuel you. If it's gonna exist, do something positive with it.
Right. You don't have to sit in it for too long. It's just gonna make you spiral out of control.
I don't sit in that crap too long at all.
All right. So you talked about working out as like a big thing for you and why it matters. What's your workout routine?
This is a dumb question.
Why?
I like to lift weights.
That's not a dumb question. A lot of people want to know that about you. What is your workout routine?
I like to lift weights.
It's changed over the years.
Lifting weights. So at one point I was doing like fitness classes, like CrossFit was really fun for me. The community aspect of that is amazing. It's something I needed in my life at that point in my life because I didn't have any friends really, because my old friends were still doing stuff that I was uncomfortable with. And I didn't really know if I existed in that world or how I would exist in that world anymore. So I had to find something else, something more positive. And that was great. And then it kind of evolved from there where that became, I guess, kind of corny for me. I don't like working out with the freaking clock time.
You don't like race work,
exercise racing.
Yeah.
Not fun anymore. So I moved on to just gym, and I take a lot of fulfillment in that. It's like a personal challenge. Like, you set a number and it's like, how can I get above that number? You set little micro goals and you achieve them, and it feels great. And then
it builds resilience.
Yeah. And then you see the rewards to some degree. It's like your clothes fit different and that feels good. It just, I don't know, it kind of helps you flex your agency muscles. Like, I have an effect, like I can change the way I eat to change the way I feel. I can change the way I exercise, and that changes the way I feel. And I feel better about myself. I feel positive about myself. And like, that's just a good thing. And
you don't have a rigid routine. You just know that you have to move your body in order to feel better.
I've gone back and forth on that. I used to work out religiously, like 7 days a week.
Oh yeah.
And then kids get older, you got to prioritize things. And now I would say I hit the gym weights minimum 3 times a week. I try to stay moving at least 4 days a week. But
you don't do much cardio?
I don't do much cardio anymore because of my back problems. That's a big
You'll get on the bike
issue
sometimes.
right now. But I get on the bike, yeah. But stair climber, bike, something like that. But just try to stay moving. But it's
and you
it's
don't
not
warm
complicated.
up or cool down.
I do push pull splits. So do like chest, shoulders. You do back. You do biceps, and then do some core work, strengthen my back. I haven't been able to do like a proper leg day in forever though because of the back.
No booty gains for you.
Nope, no booty gains. It is what it is.
Exercise is just really important. And I think that question was solid, and I don't really care what you think.
Okay.
I think I know the answer to this, and I'm going to see where it goes. What's your biggest trigger, and how do you manage it?
I think stress, work stress. When I get overwhelmed, when there's too many things that require my attention all at once, I just kind of shut down. I don't handle it well at all. When too many things are being asked of me at one given moment, or if too many people need my attention for something.
Is that where MJ gets it from?
Could be. It could be. Like if I'm at work, for instance, and there's like a massive problem, and then there are 2 or 3 people that need me to look at something at the same time, or people are asking me questions, or they need approval on something. Like it's just I get overwhelmed and I get short tempered, and my brain just like it goes way too fast. It just overloads, and I just kind of like shut down. And then I beat myself up for shutting down, and then yeah, stress. I would just say like stress in general.
But
like
that's
that.
behavioral. Like you don't have a trigger that revolves around substances.
Oh, substances. If there is,
that wasn't the question, but I was just thinking about
is
that.
one, it could be travel.
Okay, or like vacation.
Yeah, I
Just
think
being out.
that could be one, because a lot of people like for like drinking is it's conviviality, it's letting loose, it's relaxing, it's like this reward in a lot of ways, you know. And so like on vacations, people do. It's like you go to restaurants and you'll see a bunch of people drinking these fancy looking drinks you've never seen. It's like, man, I wonder what that thing tastes like. And it's not triggering. Like I don't struggle with it.
Yeah,
but,
I wouldn't call that a trigger.
but,
I think that's more
but
of
it crosses my mind. You know what I mean?
yeah. It's just like, oh man, that would be nice right now. That looks really fun.
Yeah, and then within a millisecond, I have to remind myself, like, I never drink like that guy's drinking or she's drinking.
Right.
It was always, you know, we'd end up somewhere we shouldn't be late at night, and then I would always turn into something stronger. I would need to mix it with something.
But I mean, I have those moments too. Like we were leaving the Rangers game yesterday, in that little area where there's like that live music and like restaurants and stuff over there. I would have loved to have gone over there and just chill and have a couple of drinks and maybe snack on some food or whatnot. But we don't live that life anymore, and we just don't do that.
It's funny you said that, because I saw that and I was like, man, I bet you she would love to go over there. But we had the kids with us, and
Yeah,
I was
we
like,
did.
they're gonna be so pissed if I drag. Especially one of them was just not in the mood.
Right.
No, it would not have worked out.
No,
But I don't
but
have
if
any.
it was just you and me, like that's something that I was thinking. I
don't have any triggers that revolve around.
You don't have, but you've never really had like the triggers that we discuss within the spouses. Like we have those. You can't even, you can't control it. It just happens. It's an emotion that
Someone opens a can or something
yeah, it's like
that.
when you open a can or you smell something in particular that reminds you of a certain time that was like very upsetting, or something that happened that was traumatic. Like you think of that, and then you just get this jarring feeling that's uncontrollable.
I get thoughts that cross my mind, no doubt.
Thoughts, yes, but not a trigger.
No, not really. And I'm trying to think, did I ever? I think early on I probably did. Or I didn't spend a lot of time around places that I could get triggered early on, because I didn't want to test it out. I didn't go to bars.
You went to a party. You went to a parties afterwards because you wanted to challenge yourself with using the tools.
Yeah, but we left after probably a couple hours, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a few hours.
Yeah.
We were there, 2, maybe 3. I don't know. But at some point, everyone's partying, and like I got annoyed. I think this is annoyed a trigger. Like I just got really annoyed.
No, that's not a trigger.
Short tempered, because I'm like, this is just annoying.
You're just like,
people are just getting hammered.
That's just not comfortable.
Drunk people are really fun for a while, but then they get obnoxious.
When they start getting in your face and spitting on you.
And just like when you get secondhand embarrassment from them, it's time to get out of there.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of about the time.
Ooh, awkward.
No, but like, so a big thing for me was pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
I was a prescription opioid addict. So, you know, I always had a fear that if I ever got hurt or something like that, that I would have to treat pain with something stronger than like Tylenol. And I've had to go through that. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get triggered. I didn't ever have
Milk duds.
Didn't ever have a moment where I felt like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to control this. Or no, I've always been very sure of that part of myself.
That's amazing. I love that. I think that's inspiring.
Well, I don't think I'm special. I think that anyone could develop that.
It's just, trigger is like a big word.
I think that you can get past your triggers if you can develop enough self-awareness about yourself. Like self-awareness about yourself. That's redundant. Self-awareness. If you can just develop enough self-awareness, I think you can get past your triggers. I know why I was triggered by this thing. I know why I'm seeking this thing. I know why I responded that way just now. And then you just walk yourself back in reverse. Mm-hmm. Okay, I was triggered because
you owned your triggers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you dealt with it.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Do you ever miss the old life? We kind of just talked about this, but do you ever miss the old life? We've talked about me missing the old life before on the episode.
I think I miss the idea of it.
Okay.
I miss the idea of it, but I don't like miss it. Like I wouldn't trade the life I have today.
Oh no.
For anything. And I truly, and like that's another thing is that there's nothing in the entire world. There's no rule book. I don't have like some contract in blood with anyone that says that I'm never going to drink again. I don't want to drink again. I choose not to drink again.
Right.
Like I don't want to.
You like being in control of your feelings and your emotions and your responses. When you pick up that drink, you don't have that.
I don't aspire to that anymore. I just really don't. And so I think that is like, there was a book written by, I forget the guy's name, famous book. It's called, I think it's called like How to Quit Drinking Without God or something along those lines, or like How to Stop Drinking. It's old. It's very well like established and read and whatnot. But I read it many years after being sober because I was curious, how do other people get sober? I wanted to know like all the different paths people took.
Right.
And it basically says like you have to remove the idea that it's something that you even want. It's almost like that thing we've talked about. Like if you can't get what you want, teach yourself to want what you can get.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of a trick like that. But I think with alcohol, it's much easier because alcohol is truly a poison. It's bad for you. It doesn't serve a purpose in your life, really.
Right.
I'm not sitting here beating anyone up that likes to kick back with some cocktails. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about for me, right? Like what purpose did it serve me? Like nothing good anymore. It's done. I've experienced everything you could experience with drinking. And so I think I miss the idea of drinking. Like I miss the idea of being able to quote unquote relax like quickly. I miss the idea of being able to like go to a baseball game and like have a few beers and a buzz, but then I don't want to worry about how I'm getting home, and then I don't want to worry about like
how you're gonna feel the next day.
Yeah, like I don't want to have to think about it, or have to like control how many I'm drinking. Like I don't want to think about that shit. It's just it's so much less work to not drink.
Just not do it. So I had thought, I was afraid that when you got sober that you would turn into a square.
Just like no fun.
Yeah. Like just and I will tell everybody here that he is not a square. He still does stupid shit. He still keeps me on my toes. He still keeps our relationship not like, it's super interesting and exciting. It is not boring. You still scare the shit out of me whenever you jump off of freaking waterfalls backwards and hit your head on it. And
I've always been kind of like a prankster, and I don't know, what would you call that?
I don't know, Matt. You're fun. You're exciting. You're mysterious. Like it's sexy, and you don't have to be a drug addict to be like that.
Yeah, but I think even for people that aren't, I've always been that way, and I think I was scared I was going to lose that part of me. But I never did. If anything, it just got stronger.
It did
in good ways, you know.
Yes.
But I think even for people that are someone completely different when they drink, when they get sober, it's tough because you really have to discover who you are, and you have to be okay like loving yourself even without that version of you. I know some people that have really struggled with sobriety because they don't think that they're fun. They realize that they're awkward. They don't know how to be around people.
Phase. I think that can take a year or so to get through.
It takes time. It takes some time, and you will find your people. You will find your tribe. You will find the things that you enjoy. You will. I promise you, you will. It just takes time. It takes a lot of times. But no, I think I miss the idea of it. I don't miss it at all.
What are you most proud of?
Like of anything?
Within yourself, I would say.
I think that if you had to act like just off the top of my head, like the thing in the world that I'm the most proud of is our relationship. That is the one thing in the world that I feel like I have the best marriage in the entire world. And if there were a contest that you could enter, I would enter fully expecting to win that.
Well, we would enter.
Yeah.
Not just you.
Okay.
But
right.
okay.
Yes. But that is the thing that I'm the most proud of, because it is a story that literally coming back from like the brink of destruction and rebuilding it from scratch, and not just building it the same back to where it was, but building it better exponentially than it ever was before. That is the thing that I'm the most proud of. Recovery is certainly part of that, but I've never been like proud of my recovery, really. I think
just felt like this is something you're supposed to be doing.
I think I'm proud of myself for walking through some tough things in life and handling them better than I used to.
Yeah.
But I'm not. No, like the thing I'm the most proud of is our marriage.
I'm most
our
proud
marriage
of,
and our family.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm most proud of the dad that you've become, and definitely the husband, but the dad, I'm pretty fucking proud of that.
It's possible for anybody. Like what I've done is not extraordinary or unique or anything else. It's available for everybody.
Agreed.
Man. It's out there. It's how bad do you want it, and what are you willing to do to get it? What are you willing to sacrifice to get it?
Yeah. What do you feel people get wrong about you? We have this conversation a lot.
I think people think I'm not self-aware, and they think that like I know how I present, like I know the way I come off, and I come off like arrogant at times, but I'm not.
I don't think you come off as arrogant.
well, people have said that, like, this guy's a narcissistic prick and he's full of himself. And I'm really not. Like, if anything, I've got a rather low self-esteem and I have a really hard time praising myself for anything that I do.
You do not have a low self-esteem.
Oh my gosh, I almost knocked the microphone over. When it comes to when it comes to like the things that I think I'm capable of, right? What would you call that? It's not self-esteem, then what is it? Like the fact that I don't think I'm worthy of great things happening. The fact that I don't think that I'm capable of like being anything other than,
I don't know. I guess you get it. I guess
rate.
you do a really good job at faking that, because I don't feel like you're necessarily like that. But what do I know? I don't know.
I don't know. What do you think?
I think that like people think that you're full of shit. I think that you come across as people think that you are really good at
like a salesman or something.
Yeah,
that,
like salesman.
that actually bothers me because I'm not.
You're really good with your words. You're a really good presenter. And we've had people mention how you like talk over me and all this bullshit or whatever. But then we've had people say like, no, they just have a different, you can tell they're different personality dynamics, because
We're so much different.
we are different. Like and we've said this from the beginning, like I'm the observer. I'm the one who sits and just like, I want to listen and you're the talker. That's how it's always been in our relationship. But they'll see things and they think that you're still like this. They don't think that you've actually changed, and they think that you're just full of shit.
No, like if you could follow us around, what you would see is me almost exhibiting behaviors of like a little boy watching his mom, like learning how to behave and like how to respond. Like I'm really observant, and if anything at all, like I have more respect for you than I do of anybody in the world. Like if you say something, like it's going to straight to heart. I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to think about it. Like I honor and I value your opinions about things and your thoughts about things, and even your feelings about stuff. And maybe we don't always agree on every bit of it, but I value your opinions. And
Right.
yeah, it does bother me if people ever think that I'm like, this is some kind of a show. Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying
I just
to
think that
be,
people get that wrong.
That drives me nuts, because it couldn't be further from the truth, but I guess think what you want.
Yeah. Like I don't care that they think that way. That is what it is. But I do think that that's what they get.
I guess it's just hurtful because I can't believe that they think that you would put up with that. Does that make sense?
Okay, so that's why I take offense to it. Honestly, that's why I take offense to it.
It's like,
because
like
honestly,
you don't know her.
it's
She
like-
would never
it's like
deal
you're-
with that shit
well-
from anyone.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that they talk shit about you, but then
They're
in
talking
turn
shit
they're
about
talking
you.
shit about me, because they're saying that I'm still tolerating shit. I'm still like this weakling, or I don't know. They say some pretty hateful shit, and I'm like, if you really knew me, you would know that I wouldn't tolerate that shit, and I'm gonna call them on that crap anyway. So you can miss me with that. So I do think that that's a lot. I think that's what a lot of people do get wrong about you.
Yeah, I'm not that at all.
No.
I think a lot of times people project like their ex or someone that they know. No, man. Like, so my best friend, Dr. Taylor, said that the first time that he ever met me, he saw me from across the room and he was like, "Who's this douchebag?"
Yep.
And he had me figured out, he said, but as soon before he even met me. And then we started to talk. And I think within the first 10 minutes, we're talking about like philosophy or something else. We're talking about just like life in general. We had this like really honest, just like very humble conversation. And he was like, "You completely threw for a loop. Like, I thought that you were going to be some
Arrogant
douchebag,
asshole.
like bro." And
Yeah.
no, like that's not me, man. I think I'm just trapped in this body that looks like one of those dudes, but like inside I'm like this super skinny, like nerdy guy.
You haven't always looked like that though. It's kind of weird. And you've always had this like confidence in the way that you walk, and whenever you walk into a room, and this how you present yourself. I don't know why you're looking at me like that, because you have this stance, you have this swagger, you have this way about you. I remember the first time I ever fucking met you when we were 14, and I saw you outside, and I noticed it and I recognized it, is that you were confident. I remember whenever
That's not conscious, by the way. It's just
you have this way of walking into a room where people look at you. I remember whenever
it's because I look like some dude on the Hallmark Channel
no,
or something.
it's the way you walk. You have like your hand in your pocket, and you like have this way about you where you just like, I don't know, you light up a room. It's something it's sexy as hell. And I think that it might intimidate some people, and they may think that, oh, this guy's so full of shit because he's so women get the same shit. If you're walking around confident, we get talked and judged about too.
I am the nicest dude in the world. I don't think I am above
Oh my God.
anybody.
I know you're really great at
I love all people, and I can talk to anyone.
it is true. You'll talk to a fucking brick wall.
And it's it's not like phony salesy. Like I love people, and I love to hear about like how they figure life out. And that's one of my favorite things in the world to do is discover that kind of stuff. And so if people have ever painted me in like, it's kind of hurtful because it's not me, man. It's not me at all.
Yeah, but they don't mind. Who cares what they think?
It's at the end of the day, it's just some person on the internet.
Yeah, whatever. All right, so this is the last round, and this is going to be the lightning round. I'm going to ask you some really random questions, and we'll see if you can answer them. What?
What are the lightning round questions?
Fun shit.
Okay.
It's just stupid.
What is this? It's supposed to be about like helpful for like someone who's like in my shoes.
Not necessarily.
Maybe a spouse to understand their partner a bit better.
This is also about you too.
Okay.
This is something that I want to know because I don't know the answer to this. What is the weirdest thing in your gym bag?
The weirdest thing in my gym bag?
Yes.
Oh, what constitutes weird? Okay, so for a long time, the weirdest thing in my gym bag that was probably in no other guy's gym bag was a cheese straightener. Because I used to
a cheese
straightener? No, a cheese.
I thought you said
CHI.
cheese.
That would be a weird thing.
I thought you were going to say a cheese grater, and I was like, damn, you're going to dig your hand in there and then like cut the shit out of your knuckles?
No, I used to straighten my hair. I have naturally wavy, curly hair.
You have curly hair.
And for the longest time, I used to straighten it because
that was the style.
That was like the style, man. I wanted to have cool kid straight hair, and then I gave up on that. But I used to carry a cheese straightener around. Now, man, I've got nothing in there really, just like mousse. I keep an extra pair of pants. An extra belt.
Because you forget pants sometimes.
I've forgotten pants so many times. I get to the office, I'm like, I don't have pants today. So
in underwear?
I've forgotten underwear.
But that's okay. Underwear is understandable.
I don't have anything weird in my gym bag. That's a weird question.
No, you really.
Oh, you know what? Actually,
the straightener's not weird, but I guess it is for you. What?
I have a Dungeons and Dragons player's manual.
That's not weird.
Kind of weird for a gym bag, I think.
That's just a bag. You don't have any like snacks?
No. In my gym bag?
I don't know. I just feel like you would have something really weird in there.
I don't know.
I guess I just have weird shit.
Cheese straightener.
Yeah,
that's a weird effing metrosexual thing to have in your.
I swear to God, I thought you just said cheese again. Can you not say a cheese straightener? Holy crap!
Is it chai or is it chi?
I don't know. Chai is CHAI because you get chai tea, right?
So is it shy?
I'm not having this conversation with you.
It's the straighteners, the ones you get at Claire's.
What is your go-to gas station snack when we go on trips?
I usually try to find protein chips.
Yeah, but if they don't have that, what do you get? A gallon of water and coffee.
Usually a gallon of water and coffee. I drink coffee.
Or Alani.
Oh, I like Alani.
Yeah,
Alani's the closest thing I can get. I get to a buzz, actually.
Oh, and all I get is heart palpitations.
It's probably going to kill me long before I'm due.
It will.
What's your go-to?
My go-to gas station snack? Hard-boiled eggs and carrots.
That's weak.
Or I'll get beef jerky. I love beef jerky. Well, so ever since I was on that program, like I trained my brain to just get healthy shit, and it's rare that I'll get trash.
Okay, so let's just say it's the last day on Earth. What are we both getting from the gas station? So if I were gonna get like trash gas station, okay, I like pork rinds, and probably chili cheese Fritos. I like candy. Doesn't matter what it is.
See, I won't do candy.
I prefer chocolate to gummies, but I prefer. It's candy.
I would get gummy bears. I love gummy bears.
I would get the little like bite-size Butterfingers. I would get Reese's. I would get.
Or I would just eat out of whatever you get.
Zero bars. I would get. A
lot of times you'll just go in there and like get a bunch of shit, and we'll just snack on it.
Funyuns too. I like Funyuns.
Sydney likes Funyuns. All right, who's your dream podcast guest?
I don't know. We talked about one earlier, and I would love. It was
mine.
It is yours, but it's mine as well. I would love to interview Freya India.
Yeah.
I love her insights. So good. I don't know. So we don't do guests here really. So there's not really. I would love to talk to Mark Lewis. I would love to get him on the show one day.
Biology of Desire.
Yeah, Biology of Desire. I would love to get him on the show one day. I think that'd be really good. There's a few people. I think Rich Roll would be a pretty good guest from an addiction standpoint. He's got a really great story. There's not too many people. Like, I don't know. I like talking to you. That's why we have a show.
I know. We have fun. We don't have guests very often.
Is that it?
That's it. I got to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
As always.
I hope in some way this was helpful for a spouse or partner listening to this, wanting some insight as to how we did it, how I did it.
How we're doing it?
Yeah, I think that
all of it.
And then the next topic I would really love to cover tone and delivery and how much of a difference that can really make. I think that can be really helpful for listeners. Okay. But also if you think this could be helpful for someone in your life, a guy that's struggling and is not sure who to talk to or how any of this worked, send it to him. Send it to him and tell them they can always reach out to me by email too. Like my inbox will always be open to people. matt@twfocouple.com. If you are struggling and you need a word of encouragement, I will send you a response and not just some AI generated inbox thing. Like I will actually sit down and read it and I will reply to you because I care. And that's something that I would have loved to have had whenever I was going through this. So are you good? Paige is done. All right, y'all. Till next time, I am Matt.
I'm Paige.
And we'll see you.
Bye.